Good afternoon, everybody. It is 12 o'clock Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday, October 20th, and this is Admissions Live, a very special edition of Admissions Live. The background's a little different than our usual Admissions Live background because we are all the way across the country today in Portland, Oregon for the annual HighEdWeb conference. And we've got a bunch of guests lined up. It's going to be a very different kind of show that we're very, very excited about. Admissions Live is a part of the Higher Ed Live Network, a series of professional development web shows and podcasts, which are always free and accessible to you in the archives at higheredlive.com and, of course, on iTunes. You can be a part of our broadcast by tuning in live, and I'm assuming we probably don't have a whole lot of folks tuning in live here in Portland, but we've got hopefully folks tuning in live from all over the place. You can tune in live and join the back channel, the hashtag HigherEdLive on Twitter. And you can receive updates of future shows by subscribing to the Higher Ed Live newsletter, again, higheredlive.com. Today's show would not be possible without the support of Stony Brook University, Champlain College, and M. Stoner. Higher Ed Live is produced by M. Stoner, a marketing communications firm that works with educational institutions on branding, strategy, web design, and more. Today's show is sponsored by Omni Update, the leading web content management system provider for higher education. The company's web CMS, OU Campus, is secure and scalable with great tools and features, deployment flexibility, and an awesome user community. And we will speak with Omni Update in just a few moments. Admissions Live is also sponsored by Abilene Christian University. As enrollment management continues to develop as a profession, Abilene Christian has addressed the need for an academic credential to help you set yourself apart. Designed to be completed in 10 to 12 months, ACU's online graduate certificate in enrollment management provides mastery of the profession in a flexible format for working professionals. And to learn more, visit acu.edu/enrollment management. Admissions Live is also sponsored by Chegg Enrollment Solutions. Zinch is a service of Chegg that helps colleges and universities save time and money while connecting with best fit students throughout their college search. Zinch partners save up to 90% of their recruitment cost of generating single enrollment for their institution while putting students first in their enrollment outreach. Email outreach@zinch.com or tweet @socialadmission to get in touch with your institution's dedicated Zinch representative today. And Admissions Live is sponsored by Welcome to College, College Visits Made Simple. Our mission at Welcome to College is to help students find colleges where they will flourish. We believe it's all in the visit, and they've created free web and mobile applications to plan, rate, share, and compare the entire college visit process. Parents and high school counselors can also create an account to share their impressions, so check out Welcome to College today. And because this is such a different style of show, I realized that I went through the entire list of sponsors without introducing the people who you see on screen. So good thing we've got that. So if you're a regular viewer of the show, and I know you are, hi, I'm Chris Dorso from Stony Brook University.
And I'm Nicole Lentine from Champlain College.
And we are thrilled to be here in Portland. This is my second HighEdWeb conference. I was in Buffalo last year. This is Nicole's first time here. And so we've got a real great mix of folks, both here on site in Portland, as well as in other places around the country. And our guest today, Jeremy Rex, who is the sales director at Omni Update. Jeremy is a HighEdWeb veteran. Rebecca Stapley, who we'll introduce to you in just a few seconds, who is from Nazareth College. She is another HighEdWeb newbie. And then live via satellite, if you will, the Director of Web Strategy at KCTCS, Kentucky Community and Technical College, is Ron Bronson, and the Director of Web and New Media at Lemoyne College in Syracuse is Michelle Tarby. So here's the deal. So the Higher Ed Web Association is a national group this is the big annual conference. It bounces around the country. This year, of course, Portland, Oregon. Over 700 people here on site. If you are interested in being involved here in Portland, it is very easy to do that. If you are on Twitter, the hashtag HEWEB14, HEWEB14, has got backchannel going all day today, all day tomorrow, probably all day on Wednesday as well as the conference wraps up. And there's lots of ways to interact with everything that we're doing here. You've got a question about all the things that we're tweeting about? Hashtag it, and we'll ask it for you in a session. It's a great community here, and very vibrant. Obviously, it's a web conference. So we're obviously very visible online.
Yes.
So Nicole, so actually, no, we should introduce our first guest, I suppose, right? So let's
scoot on the couch here. Yes.
All right. So let's get back in here. Can we all see ourselves? All right, there we go. So we want to welcome another newbie, Rebecca Stapley. Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Cool. So so you and Nicole are first-timers here at HighEdWeb. What are your impressions so far?
It's really amazing. I got in late last night, and just the second I started walking towards the Hilton where we are, there's just such a huge group of dynamic people from all different fields. So, and the sessions I've sat in have been wonderful. So it's just a whole new level, which is really exciting.
Fantastic. And we noticed actually earlier that there's not a lot of admissions professionals at this conference compared to a lot of others, and so I know we'll be talking about that a little later, but what did you kind of do leading up to the session to make sure you could kind of find your other people, find admissions people?
It's true, it's true. Connecting online, of course, engaging with others who are going to be at the conference, but also for me, just kind of know the show before you go, so I really interacted with the website, really read in depth about what sessions were going to be most applicable to admissions, to my job specifically, and there was really a lot. So there's so much relevant information, and I wish that we had an even larger admissions presence.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we can help do that today with the show and getting it all out there.
Exactly. And as somebody tweeted this morning from one of the workshops I wasn't even in, every page on your university's website is an admissions page. So, so there you go. So, so I want to bring in all of the other folks that we have here for their input as well. So I want to introduce Jeremy Rex, who is the sales director at Omni Update. Jeremy is actually across the street at the conference proper. He's actually in the vendor area up on the second floor of the Hilton Portland. So Jeremy, how's everything going over there? Is it quiet right now? We're sort of in session right now.
Yeah, we're in session right now, so it's kind of quieter than it would usually be at other places, but it's great. We've had great sessions this morning already. Like you mentioned, there's 700 people here, all cruising around and learning new things. This is my 8th HighEdWeb, so it's great to see some people over and over again, and then about half of the people are new. So there's a lot going on over here.
Fantastic. And Jeremy, you're a HighEdWeb veteran, so what keeps you coming back to the conference year after year?
You know, I go to about 10 conferences a year, and HighEdWeb is my favorite conference every year. It's amazing. It is the best conference, hands down, for web and higher education. And what it is, it's the people that make all the difference, the 700 people that you're learning from. But also the sessions are great. I had Mark Greenfield talk this morning. I heard Carlin Morset. They did the expectations about admissions and what you want on your web for it. But over and over again, every year, it's the people that make the difference from the sessions that you get, and then just sitting down at dinner and talking to people that you're like, okay, what are you doing with the web, and how are you using, you know, calendars, or how are you working with landing pages? That's the best thing you get out of this, is that one-on-one that you don't get at any other conference.
Definitely. The conversations I've overheard at breakfast and everything else have been just as valuable, I think, as the sessions, and even at the social hour last night. You know, there's a lot of fun to be had, but a lot of kind of conversations about mutual woes and things. So it's been pretty cool to get to hear that. It's it's your people that you can really tell that we're all equally as excited about things that are happening in the web world.
Yeah, you're doing the exact same thing as those other people. We were out, you know, at bars last night, and people are talking until 2 in the morning about what they're doing on their websites, you know, and they're having drinks and they're having fun, but they're talking about what they're doing, and you don't get that anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So what's how are things up on the exhibitor floor this year? We've got a number of strategic partner vendors up there. You had a lot of good discussions.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of good discussions, people passing by. There's great giveaways too, which always brings people. There's an Apple Watch that's being given away, so if you haven't stopped by, come on by. But the also thing is there's great discussions for vendors talking about just what you're doing on your website, not just selling a product, but learning from people that are working on their websites and what they're doing, of what they're looking for, and then back and forth and trying to solve issues. And that's really what you want, right? It's that interaction, engagement, and that's what you want at a conference, is engaging.
Yeah. What now? Now, and I suppose I should address this to Rebecca too, and both of you, I suppose, as new folks. Is there a challenge for you guys being new to a conference, and Rebecca as an admissions counselor, as opposed to somebody who's at the director level? the challenge, I suppose, of being intimidated by the vendors, and I'm sure you're not. And Jeremy, you can certainly attest to that too. I love having the discussions with the vendors, and I think that nobody expects anybody to sign contracts right now. It's about getting information and finding out what resources are available to make everybody involved's jobs easier. And so I guess I'll throw that out to both of you and sort of let that fly. Your interactions with new folks out on the vendor floor, both here and at other conferences you've been to.
My interactions have all been really positive, and like you said, I think it's just this flow of information. So for me, being able to talk to a vendor, know what they offer, what they're doing, kind of working that into the trends overall in admissions and enrollment management, and seeing, where does this or something like this fit in, specifically to the profile of my institution. So I've gotten a lot of benefit out of that. Everyone is so approachable, very interested in my background as well, and working with institutions maybe of similar profiles. So I think the discussions have been really productive, and I'm looking forward to having a little bit more time to kind of get there and explore at this conference.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things to kind of gather and process, and yeah, I think vendors have always been, or strategic partners, as I've learned to use the term too, have always been very welcoming on the floor and understand that I don't necessarily have the director level decision-making abilities to be able to really tell them, yes, we're going to commit to you, but I think everybody's been really nice to just say, this is what we have, this is kind of where higher education is moving in, and so it sort of helps you kind of gather your thoughts around, where we're looking in the future. And being able to have just great conversations with vendors without feeling like they're trying to get you to buy something right away.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we're trying to solve problems, right? We're trying to solve problems from talking to people who are, in an institution like ours or a competitor to ours, and even with vendors. Vendors are here to help solve a problem. So the great thing about being a vendor and being at a conference is listening to the problems you're trying to solve and saying, okay, we don't have something that does that, but that's a great idea. We can work on that. Or, yeah, we have something that solves that, but how do you need it done specifically? And that's why we love being at HighEdWeb, and why I love being here is you hear directly from people's mouths, this is what we need help with. How can we, solve this issue? And listening to you, to people talk around a table about the issues they have.
Definitely. Well, and there's just such a sense of collaboration here that, like, even if you can't necessarily fix it, I think the conversations start to happen here of how can we fix it and how can we work together and move forward with that. And that's why I love things like the hackathon that's happening tonight. I'm excited to see what that looks like. But I don't know if I'm getting too ahead of myself, but I love the sense of higher education. We're not super competitive with each other, and I feel that's the same vibe with higher ed vendors as well. Is you're not fiercely combating each other. We're trying to figure out how to just make it better for all of us. Do you want me to ask?
Yeah, let's do that.
Excellent. So, Rebecca, we talked a little bit about how admissions pros are sort of, in the minority here at the conference. So, I know we've only had a few sessions so far, but what do you feel there is to kind of learn from web professionals and these sessions that maybe it's hard to initially connect it with admissions, but, what do you learn on the broader sense that you can bring back?
Well, something that I feel strongly about and just has been really just driven home here is just the importance of web for what we do. It is the first and I think most dominant source that prospective students and their families are getting information. It affects their perspective on the institution, on our academic programs that we offer and the quality, just based on that web presence. Like you said, not even necessarily the admissions website, but the university website overall. So that's one thing that the importance of that I would love to bring home. And then getting specific, those different things. What can we do on the web? What about mobile? And then social media, there's kind of these broad umbrellas, and then that's where all these amazing specialists are all here, and the information is just incredible. So I've been just kind of soaking it all up. I'm so excited to kind of bring back what I'm learning and delve into things even further.
So I want to bring in our two out-of-town guests, if you will, as engaging as it is to be here. It can be also both wonderfully engaging and wonderfully difficult to not be here. And so I want to bring in Michelle Tarby and Ron Bronson. So good afternoon, guys.
Hey there.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So now, Ron, was an admissions guy for a little bit. He was a web guy, and he was an admissions guy, and he was a web guy. And so, Ron, to sort of address that same question that we were just talking with Rebecca about, you know, you know, find that balance between the admission side and the website.
You know, I tell this story a lot. Well, about how before I worked in admissions and I was always a web guy, how I thought, oh, I know what those guys do. It's totally easy. Like, they just go out and talk to people. It's really great. I could totally do that job. And then I did it. Yeah, I did. But I just had no idea of how many of the constraints or the kinds of things. And from a web guy perspective, being back on the website again, the main takeaway I took was how much of you guys being on the road, how much of the user experience you deal with that you have no effect on. And it drove me crazy as a web guy, because I'm like, I could have fixed that problem last year, and now I can't, because I don't work on and there's a new school, so I didn't even know the web people, you know. And that drove me insane, knowing how to fix those solutions. And so I think that, you know, I tell all the people on the road when I was in New York City, and telling people all the time, like, look, go back to your schools, find these people and tell them what you're figuring out, because they don't know what you're dealing with. And so for anybody who's on the web, who works in admissions, who deals with students' application questions, why there aren't photos where they should be, like, you guys are really way more important than anybody. I mean, like, you have so much information. And so, no, you're not a director, you're just a counselor or a rep or whatever, but you have so much information that could change the way your institution markets itself. And even better than in print, where it's harder to get that information out there and so forth and so on. And so I think that it's really, really mission critical. Hopefully HighEdWeb hears this and can get to engage more admissions folks, because I don't know that they know it's something that they can be involved in. You know, it's hard because the conference is usually during recruiting season, so you can't get there, you know, like for an average person. See, I know that now. I wouldn't have known that a few years ago. There's just no way I could go to I didn't go to HighEdWeb last year because I was on the road. I was supposed to speak it. I couldn't do it, you know. And so having a forum or a way that we can reach out to people in a way to get those messages out there, because getting on the website, and we sit around and talk about it at these conferences, and it's really great, but you all are really the ones bringing that information out there. And getting it, you know, and getting it the ways we can. So, sorry. I'm really passionate about this topic now because of it.
Well, you're actually making me think of something, too, because, you know, we were kind of talking in one of the earlier sessions about how social media, you know, it's there and students are going to talk to you on it and tell you kind of what the problems are out there on social media, and admissions counselors are almost sort of that on the road, is that we're hearing all those issues with the web, or, you know, you mail me too much, you email me too much, and so, yeah, it is kind of trying to find a way to direct that back. So I appreciate the fact that you came into that with a web experience and saw that being admissions.
It's the coolest thing in the world. Like, I really think, I joked about this on the road, but I swore when I said it, and I mean it, that I think there's a world where, like, future web professionals, I don't think someone who's been doing web for a super long time would want to go out and do that, but I really think there's a world where people should, like, see that, get that experience, and understand that, because it changes the way you see the web. Like, you'll never see the web again the same way you did before you got on the road, and see how much of a struggle it is, even at a you know, different high-level elite school, or it's all the same fairs. We're at the same fairs, dealing with the same students, dealing with the same issues, and seeing what that's like. And I just think it's mission critical for web folks to understand how we're allies. We don't always see ourselves as allies, right? With folks in admissions, folks in the web. But our jobs are so well intertwined, and so we really need to have more of that collaboration and communication together.
Absolutely. Well, not that anybody who's at HighEdWeb right now is necessarily watching this, but shameless plug for Chris and I are doing a presentation
I know,
tomorrow.
I was thinking that same thing. If only there was a workshop tomorrow that would address that very issue, say 11:45 or thereabouts, right up there in whatever Skyline room we're in, up on the 23rd floor.
Yes.
I should probably know that, but that's all right. But that's a side note. By the time many of you are watching this, that will have passed. But you can follow the back channel on that. But so talking about the back channel and this conference, Ron and Michelle, who has been quiet so far, I mean, it's impossible to keep up, and I'm here, and I'm contributing to the back channel, and it's impossible for me to keep up. How do you recommend navigating the back channel at a conference, any conference, but particularly this one, where there is so much information going out there?
Will Michelle tackle that one? first.
You know, let me tackle that one? Okay, great. I have to say, I've got a TweetDeck column with HighEdWeb 14 tweets running in my office all day long. So the challenge becomes getting work actually done while you're in the middle of, watching all this goodness come out. But I think probably for me, I've been trying to break it out by the session hashtags, and each track has a specific hashtag that they use. With the server. So that's been helpful to me. So I was able to follow Mark Greenfields this morning or Carlin this afternoon. That's how I kind of keep track of it. But it is really overwhelming. But the one thing I'd recommend if you're keeping track at home is to make sure you're following Dave Tyler, who is dtyler321, because what he's doing is he's working with a whole network of link bloggers, which is the magazine of HighEdWeb. And he's been doing a great job pushing out, or they've been doing a phenomenal job pushing out updates on different sessions. So that's one way I've been able to kind of feel like I'm keeping up while over on the East Coast.
Yeah, we will, Ashley, if you could tweet out the link to the link to link, if you will.
Link to link, yeah.
So folks can sort of see how, I know there are a couple that are up from this morning's sessions, having done one myself. And Michelle mentioned the different tracks here at HighEdWeb. There are 7 different tracks that there's fascinating thing is there's a lot of overlap between tracks, and yet at the same time they're very, very distinct. And so you've got a track that focuses on social media, you've got a track that focuses on technology and education, you've got whatever the 5 other tracks are. If you go to the HighEdWeb site, you can see the different tracks, and it's very easy to, if you've got TweetDeck, if you want to hit a particular topic, you can really just kind of follow that all day and really get a sense of what's sorting out here.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, but I do love that fact. Yeah, I can't even imagine how busy it must be on your TweetDeck just all day. Through, but there's a lot of reiteration, but I think the most important points really kind of float to the surface that way, of seeing lots of retweets and lots of favorites, and there's so many good pieces to kind of gather up. That's what drove me to actually request being able to attend this conference, is following the hashtag in the past. So it's great to get to check that out, and I love the sub hashtags.
Yeah, it's a real active community. I know, really the conference first started getting into Twitter, I think it was around 2007, and it was the first time they trended, and it was the same time the presidential debates were going on between Barack Obama and John McCain, and we were actually getting more HighEdWeb tweets than we're getting tweets around the debate. So that's how the community's taken off from there. It's only gotten bigger ever since then. So
we actually heard this morning at breakfast that we are trending nationally with that hashtag.
Yes.
So.
Yep. Yeah.
I believe the conference theme for 15 is HighEdWeb 15. We're kind of a big deal.
Nail that down now.
So, right. Yeah.
Staff.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah. Michelle, are there any conference pros that you would recommend folks follow, especially if they're following the back channel?
As I said, I would especially recommend Dave Tyler, so you're finding out when Link is publishing. The official conference, the HighEdWeb Association, make sure you follow them if you're not already. Because in addition to news about the conference, you get news about membership and benefits of membership and events that are taking place all year long. But really looking at the people I've retweeted today and favorited, it's the normal people on my network. It's Seth Miranda. I'm trying to think of a few others. Mark Greenfield, Robin To Go. The standard people I always tend to draw inspiration from. So, but it is always good to make those new connections and meet those new people, and feel like you're meeting them at least.
Excuse me, sorry. And the other thing, great thing about that back channel piece and sort of building that network is that's why we're here as a first-time and second-time folks, is because I sat and watched the back channel for a couple of years, and you start following things and you realize, hey, there are people out there who are doing the same kinds of things that I'm doing and who can help me do my job better. And as you really start to connect with these people, we talked yesterday about, sometimes you meet people who you've known on the internet for so long. There's that fun reality to knowing that we actually exist and we're not just little 100 by 100 profile pictures all the time. and there's great joy in knowing that supportive community is really, really out there, particularly coming from an admissions side, where the challenge that we find on the admissions end at conferences that I always struggle with is the schools that we compete with, for lack of a better phrase. I don't necessarily want them to know what they're doing. Like we've talked a lot this morning about how email is dead or email is not dead. Literally in the first 2 sessions was email is dead, and then the very second session was email is not dead. So I've said it on the show before, if our competitors want to stop emailing people, they are welcome to do that at any time. So, but the community is great here, and I think as you follow the back channel, even if you're not here, you're finding other people who are doing the same kinds of things that you're doing, which is really, really a wonderful side piece to all of this.
As a total creeper when you walk up to somebody and it's like, I've been following you for 6 months. I know everything about you. It's awesome. I love you.
That's not awkward at all.
I actually tweeted an article out about that topic because it came up a few years ago. We talked about, sort of a bunch of us talking about the interaction of going to conferences and knowing somebody really well, but then meeting them in real life and realizing, look, there's a world where that's a little weird, especially when you do this for a while. And so anyway, I just retweeted that article. It's sort of every year I go and do this, I go back to that thing I wrote 3 years ago about that topic because, right, it's sort of, and I was the guy before I became the person that people go, oh my God, I follow you on Twitter. That years ago, it was me going, oh my God, I follow you on Twitter, and realizing that that's a little off. But so anyway.
Well, luckily, of all the conferences that you could say that, I feel like this one is the most accepting of that.
Oh no, you get hugs for it. It's just still a little weird. It's like,
I finally got to meet my Aunt Cloud in person yesterday, and I almost tackled her because I'm just like, you're a real human being. I've been following you for years.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, there's so much joy at that. So it is a pretty spectacular place to be able to have that.
Now, Ron, part of the reason you're not here is the fact that you're a one-man show.
No.
Your tweet was from, I thought of this because your tweet that I'm trying to retweet and talk at the same time was from Higher Ed Solo. And so can you talk about the challenges of attending conferences or not attending conferences when you're a one-man shop, and how to keep that up and how to keep those conversations going?
So for people who don't know, HighEdSolo.com is a resource that was started in 2011 by, can you hear me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But my mouth wasn't moving, my screen creeping me out. Anyway, Higher Ed Solo was a website started in 2011 by myself and Tanya Oaksmith, Marley's mom on Twitter. Really, we were both, at the time, we were both armies of one, meaning we were one-person shops, and trying to navigate all of that. Earlier this year, Tanya and I both got different jobs. We were no longer armies of one. And so we had to go, we were like, we need an army of one to, like, keep the dream alive, like Portland. And Michelle Tarby is actually the third person, the third Beatle in Higher Ed Solo. And so anyway, just so you know, you all are aware of that. What I'd say to you is the thing we always say about being armies of one is you can't do everything, right? You're not going to do all the things. And so you shouldn't try to set this unrealistic expectation that you're going to do all the things, because you're not. But you can still be involved, talking about following a hashtag and engaging with people who are out there. I mean, I spent years out west in Wyoming and Colorado, not connected to the larger community, right? But I made all my connections that way. So when I finally met everybody at big conferences, it was all the work that I had done prior, blogging or tweeting and so forth. And not everybody has time for those things, but I think that especially now the community is mature enough that there are enough folks talking about the things that you're dealing with that you're never alone. We tell solos this all the time. You're not alone. We're here for you to be a resource because you're not alone. But in the wider community, like, you can't, well, gee, I'm the only one going through what I'm going through. Like, that was cute maybe 10 years ago when there were just a few of us doing this, and even it wasn't true then, but it's definitely not true now. So the onus is on you and your institution, right? Like, even if you feel like, oh, I'm wasting time on Twitter, I shouldn't be doing this, I should be working and everything else. This is all professional development. Like, this is all part of making you better at your job, by getting out there, by engaging, by finding other folks who are doing things. Because when I have a problem and I need to call somebody, I know I can call Chris and say, hey, have you ever dealt with this? And if he doesn't know, you're like, well, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. You know what? Call this person. They know. And that's the kind of stuff that helps you do your job better, helps you serve your institution better. And so as an army of one, you absolutely need to have that kind of relationships, because you're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to have all the resources. You're not going to have all the time. And so, you can't get to every event, but using those events as a way to help you, agitate for the things you want better will help you do your job better. And maybe down the road, because your supervisor or whoever else sees, oh, where'd you get all the information from? Oh, I found out from this community. Oh, you need to go to that. That can ignite you to get to these things. And so, but you've got to take those steps. And, if you're an army of one, you understand that taking steps is part of the job anyway. So.
Yeah, that last point you made, rang true for me too. I think there's so much value in being able to say this is a community that I've learned things from, that I've applied and that have been successful to us. And that happened to me when I got to attend the regional conference in New England in HighEdWeb, and then I actually got to use that to help Becca get to come here because we had some great connections and relationships. And so there is so much value to being able to say I have this community, this resource, and so. When her VP, who used to be my VP, asked if it would be worthwhile for her to be here, I could say, absolutely, I attended the regional conference myself. I'm so excited for the annual conference. These are the things that I've learned. So definitely send her, because she's going to bring back so much value to your community.
Yeah. So true, and I'm just thrilled to be here. And already, just into the first day, it's just there's so much that I can bring back, and I would do exactly the same thing. So,
yeah.
That change.
Yeah, we keep spreading the goodness all around.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, and actually related to the regional conferences, Michelle, I know that you're a HighEdWeb pro, and so how would you say the regional conferences compare to this annual conference? Because there's definitely a difference, but what would you say?
There's definitely a difference, but watching the regionals grow over the years has really been amazing, to the point where they're spread out all across the country. In past years, I'm not honestly sure if that's going to be the case this year. They typically announce the locations of the regionals at the annual conference, so you'll be able to have some sense of where they're going to be. But basically, I view them as the same, on par with the national conference, just on a smaller scale. Many of the people that you see speak this week in Portland maybe is somebody you saw in New England or down in Southeast. So the speakers, it's all driven by us. And that's why I think, people have said it throughout this conference, but that's the thing that I think that makes this conference amazing. It's put on by web professionals and higher ed professionals for higher ed professionals. And that's the case whether it's the national conference or the regional conference. So that's something I'm really, really proud of. And then as you watch this hashtag, I'd recommend people who are playing along at home, basically, keep following the hashtag after the conference is over, because this community is so passionate and keeps talking throughout the year. And it kind of flows into the nationals. So, I was talking with somebody about it the other day, and they said, really, it becomes year-long professional development for you. And it goes back to many of the points Ron was just making about how important that is for you, whether you're an army of one or you're leading a team of 50. You still have to be always evolving, always learning, and always changing. So.
I think the other joy of the regionals is that not everybody is going to be able to fly all the way to Portland or all the way to Buffalo last year,
right.
Or 2015. But it is a lot easier to get to. For us, it was Pittsburgh or Johnson and Wales, and so it's a lot easier to get to those kinds of places than where it's a drive-in, one-day kind of a thing. And so again, it's really about broadening that network. Jeremy, from the vendor perspective, what do you see? I'm assuming you've probably been to a regional or two.
Yeah, I have. It's a lot different feeling because of the more even closeness that you get. I mean, you're hanging out at nights with, instead of hanging out with 700 people like you are here, you're hanging out with maybe 60 or 80 people, and some maybe 40 because some of them live in the area and they've gone home. So you really get sit down, one-on-one, deep stuff that you can take back. And I think that's the best thing of a conference that you want to engage with, is taking home, 3 nuggets. 3 things that you've learned that are like, these are the things that I need to take back, I need to implement now and start using, or tell your boss, or whatever it might be. And that's what's great about, once again, about HighEdWeb, both the national and the regionals, is being able to get something on a personal level that you can bring back.
I love the format, too, of the regionals. I had never seen a flash presentation before, and it's such a cool idea, and I wish that more admissions conferences would actually incorporate something like that, because I gained more in some of those 10-minute, or not even 10-minute, yeah, I think 10-minute long segments. We're so packed to the gills with information, so I love the way that HighEdWeb really approaches information in different formats, whether it's like that or doing a poster session that I know happens later on. So that's something neat to check out also. Yeah.
Well, I don't want us to run too much longer, although I'm intrigued as the timing as the sessions start to let out. I'm kind of hoping that there'll be people photobombing Jeremy as we come through the next final couple minutes of the show here. But I want to get sort of closing thoughts from anyone and everyone. So we'll throw. Who wants to start? Wait, let Jeremy talk. Hang on a second. Somebody's photobombing Jeremy as we.
You gotta come.
Oh,
yeah, there's people all over the place here that are getting out. It's actually lunchtime here at the conference, so you've got tons of people walking behind me. But it's great, and this is what you get. You know, I've seen Mallory and other people here that maybe you don't know in person, like Ron was talking earlier, and here you get to go up and talk to them and tick their brain and go everything that's going on. So it's great to get to know these people. And who are doing crazy things and doing it great in higher education.
This is a G-rated web broadcast, people. G-rated. No thanks to Curtis in the background.
Hi, Curtis.
So Jeremy's very tall and Mallory's very short. So it's the challenge. Michelle, your thoughts?
Hey, keep tweeting. I miss everybody terribly. You know, a lot of people I always see once a year at the annual conference. I was really bummed I couldn't be there this year. But through Twitter, through this, you know, thanks for having me. And I kind of feel a little bit like I'm there at least for half an hour. So keep up the awesome work and have a great time. Learn lots. Find your nugget.
Cool. Ron?
I just say that, you know, I find the conferences sometimes very daunting. Because it's a lot of people, it's a lot of stuff, and if you're an introvert, if you're new to the crowd, you don't know anybody, it can feel like a lot because everybody seems to know everybody, they all know each other, and you don't know anybody, and you're from a school that's small. And I would say that I would tell people, obviously people who are there probably aren't listening, but to people who go to this in the future or deal with this issue, don't be intimidated by the situation. You're not the only one who's there in that situation. If you see people who are alone, you see people in groups, for the most part, people are really accessible and kind, and it's a hello. It's a how are you? Where are you from? Where am I from? Let's talk about, you know, there are going to be things to talk about. It's not like going to a bar. like there are going to be people there who chances are doing things that you can talk about, and that lowers the barrier of entry a lot. And so I guess I just say that I know it can feel daunting and intimidating and scary and a lot of other things, but the value you get from that experience is well worth dipping your toe into the pool a little bit. And so have a great time, enjoy it. Thanks for having us, and we'll see you all soon on the circuit, I'm sure.
Awesome. Rebecca.
Yeah, well, what you just said, that really rang true. Being an introvert, this is my first conference, but it's so true. It's almost like the first day of summer camp, and everyone here is just so happy. And you want to meet friends. You want to hear what other people are doing. So I'm so happy just by starting those conversations, and they are actually easy. So getting over that initial maybe intimidation, and then it's just the ability to flourish. So it's really exciting. I'm really thankful for this experience.
Yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, it's so many packed days of amazing opportunities, and yeah, it is like summer camp, but summer camp for web nerds, and I love every minute of it. Every few minutes I've been saying these are my people, and I love the conversation.
Our tribe.
Yes.
Yeah, I tell you, that's so true. I mean, there's so many times you'll walk out of here and having had a dozen conversations where you've said, oh yeah, we have that same problem, or oh yeah, that happened to us too, and it's fun to do that. And you may walk out of here with a new Apple Watch. Or I may walk out of here with a new Apple Watch, Jeremy. All right, so thanks as always to our program sponsors, M. Stoner and Omni Update, and Abilene Christian, Chegg Enrollment Solutions, and Welcome to College. Higher Ed Live is back again next week. Tune in for new shows from Marketing Live and Advancement Live. And Admissions Live will, of course, be back in 2 weeks on Monday. back at our regularly scheduled 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can, of course, browse the archives at higheredlive.com or subscribe to the Higher Ed Live podcast on iTunes because you need more Chris and Nicole in your life.
Yes, you do.
So we are Chris Dorso and
Nicole and Pete.
we will be back next month with more Admissions Live. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.